And for today's screens off, we're going to be making some birdhouses. Alright, so let's talk about the supplies you may or may not need to make birdhouses. The first bit that you're going to need is some sort of wood to make a birdhouse. Now, exactly how much wood will really depend on the size and shape of your birdhouse. We will have a link to some plans below in the description. But in general, you're going to need about 3 to 4 feet of wood. Right here, I have a nice 4-foot piece of wood left over, and cut up into the size for our birdhouse. We have some right here as well. So you can see the birdhouse that we will be assembling today took up exactly 4 feet of wood. Now, in terms of tools that we're going to need, not all these tools here are necessary. The ones that really are, we're going to need to use a hammer because we're going to be using nails to put our birdhouse together. A saw will probably be necessary if you have a piece of wood like this, although it is possible to put together your own birdhouse by using up some scraps of wood that were maybe previously cut, maybe found from a workshop, or you found stuff at a construction site or the side of the road. Another thing that you will need is a drill and at least a drill bit. What's nice to have is a hole saw for cutting a hole for the bird, but you can cheat a little bit and make a hole with one drill bit. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The other thing you're going to need is a pencil and measuring tape of some sort in order to measure off the wood so that you know where to cut it. And nice to have, I have a square here so we can draw a nice thick line. And finally, we have some safety glasses to make sure we protect our eyes when we cut the wood. So we need to measure up and cut our wood, right? So down here, I have my 48-inch piece of wood. I'm going to take my tape measure, pencil, and square if you have it, and I'm going to measure off my 6 sections. So we are now ready to cut. Now, cutting the wood you can do a variety of ways. We have here a hand saw that we will be using to cut the wood. But if you have an electric saw of some kind, either a circular saw or a jigsaw, that would be handy as well too. Now for us today, in cutting with the hand saw, what we're going to do is we're going to take a few pieces of wood to get our wood up off the ground. And we're going to put them somewhat close to where we intend to cut. Okay? This way, we can put our weight on the wood to help hold it still, so it shouldn't move around too much. And we can use our other hand to saw with the saw along the line. There we go. There, nice even cut. So we just have to repeat that 1, 2, 3, 4 more times, and we'll be ready to put the birdhouse together. Alright, so I'm going to show you how the birdhouse goes together. Usually when you assemble anything out of wood or any other material, it's good to do a dry run, a test run, just to make sure you cut everything properly and everything's going to fit together. So let's take a look. We have a 48-inch piece of wood that we have cut down into 6 sections to make our birdhouse. We have 4 7-inch sections, 1 9, and 1 11-inch section. So let's do a quick dry fit just to make sure our birdhouse will go together. Now I'm going to take this 4 7-inch sections and move them aside. I'm going to bring over the 9 and 11-inch pieces. Now the 9-inch is going to be our base, the 11-inch is going to be our top. So we're going to take our 7-inch pieces and stack them up on top of our base, just like this. Just making sure that everything will fit together. It's going to look good. So this is the body of our birdhouse, and then the top will go on just like that. So you kind of get an idea of what our birdhouse is going to look like when it's done. Now ideally we'll put a hole in over here where the birds can go in and out. They have a bit of a cover to help keep the weather out, keep the rain out from their birdhouse, and a little ledge as well too for them to land on. So I have a helper here today. Isaac is going to be assembling the birdhouse. So here we have our 6 pieces of wood all cut up. We're going to be working with the 4 7-inch pieces of wood to start off. We'll move these aside. What we'll do is we'll take some nails and we're going to get 4 started in the corners. 2 here and 2 here. Alright. I will tap them in just a little bit. Got my hammer and nail. Just enough that the nail stays up. Do another 2. And then Isaac here gets to bang these in. Now to start off, we are going to bang these in as far as we can till they get to the point where they're just about to break through. I'm going to do that for all 4. Once they are just breaking through, we take the wood, we'll put it up top, and we'll nail it all the way in. So Isaac has got the 4 nails driven in pretty far. They're starting to poke through a little bit. So what we can do now is we're going to take the wood, we're going to hold it up on top here, and get it side on side. And now Isaac can finish nailing them in. There you go. You ready, bud? I'll hold it for you. There you go. Big hits. There you go. Good. And then you're going to do it to this side. Good stuff. Alright, and so what we need to do now is we're going to start another 4 nails into these 4 corners and then nail it in up here. So we finished up. We got the 4 boards nailed. We got a hollow box with no top or bottom. So again, this board here, the shorter board, will be our bottom, our base, and the taller board will be our top. And again, all we got to do is nail. So we're going to nail the bottom on first. So this is technically upside down now. We'll do 4 nails into the middle to nail it in. And then we will put in the hole for the birds. Continue. There we go. Alright. So our base is now on. So we could put the top on now. But what we're going to do first is put the hole for the birdhouse in there. That way, if we knock any wood inside the birdhouse, it's easy for us to remove it, and then we can put the top on. In order for us to put the hole in, we're going to need a drill. Right? Now, you could use a hand drill. It would take a lot longer. Power drill is a lot quicker. Now, I mentioned before, it is nice to have a circular saw. Right? So we have a circular saw here that is set for 1 1/8 inches, so it's 1 1/8 inches diameter. There's different diameters that you want to use for different species of birds that you want to attract to your birdhouse. 1 1/8 inches is good for chickadees. It's a little too small for sparrows, technically. For a hole saw like this, you put it into your drill, you tighten it up, and we drill the hole straight through. Right? Now, if you do not have access to a circular saw, there are little cheats that you can do. So instead of using a hole saw, you can use a regular drill bit. I'll put it into our drill. And what you can do is draw a circle as a guideline on your birdhouse, and then use the drill bit to drill a series of holes all the way around to make a larger hole in the birdhouse. Alright, so it's a slight cheat you can do if you don't have access to a circular saw. But what we are going to do is use our circular saw to drill a nice accurate hole. So it's in there and all set up. We're going to have our safety glasses on. And Isaac, you're going to help me out. I'm going to drill this hole in here. Alright? You ready, big guy? You got a hold? Alright, off you go. there we go. Like I mentioned before, it's nice to drill this so that if the hole falls in, we can pull it out of the birdhouse.
I want to touch it. I want to feel it.
You feel it? It's nice and warm. All right?
It's fracking, but we're not taking the
So the last thing for us to do is to put on the roof of our birdhouse. So our birdhouse is done. We got our hole, we have all 6 sides, we have a little roof, a little ledge. It's ready for us to hang up. In the description below, we are going to have links to the plans for making our basic box birdhouse here. I will also have a link to our Facebook page. We will be monitoring that. If you have any questions, need some guidance, I will be there answering questions so that you can have some help making your birdhouse. Also, I'll post a link to a set of Pinterest pages where we have a lot of different ideas for different birdhouses. So like I've said many times now, you don't always have to make a box when you're making a birdhouse, although it is the simplest and easiest and probably the quickest to do with kids. There are many things you can make birdhouses out of. You can be creative and make it out of PVC pipe. You can use found items like teapots or coffee cans. There's millions and millions of different ideas out there for simple and quick birdhouses that you can make with your kids at home. So that's it for us today. So I want to say thank you to Isaac, and we'll see you next week.
Hot.
All right.